I'm giving this little fireside chat while I'm lying in my bed. Natural. Not with any of the fancy accoutrements trying to impress. Very few people watch these videos anyway, and as you know, it's only a record for me. Because it's like birds chatter. It happens in space and then it's gone. It's only appropriate for the time being said. And in future times, it'll be said again, or something else will be said differently, which is appropriate to that time and place. That's why no matter how genius some of these commentaries are, they shouldn't be written down. Not my commentaries, I'm talking about Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. They shouldn't be written down and then studied 100 years, 200 years later. Because it's not appropriate to the times. And that's what I'm actually going to speak about. There is no appropriate to the times. The times is modernity, you see, is actually just sexual freedom and an excuse for sexual freedoms. Sexual freedoms have always existed, by the way, and that's what the point of this is. Point of this is that I grew up in Greenwich Village. Now, 70 years ago in Greenwich Village, as 1950 turned, it was pretty hip, Basically, it was really hip, musicians and writers and basically everybody, at that time anyway, every man was probably a homosexual. That's why they sought out the place. They came from everywhere around the country so that they could lead a homosexual life in the village, in bars and, in the park, Washington Square Park, where I grew up. And here's the difference. Again, a long-winded introduction. They didn't want to be socially accepted, you see. They wanted to be able to live their life, so to speak, but on the fringes. They didn't want the social imprimatur, the stamp, the approval. They didn't want it to be that way for everybody. They want to live their life in the background. And now, all sexuality has changed. They want to be totally socially accepted. Whatever the sexuality is, they want it totally accepted. They want transsexuals, all sorts of sexual differences, totally accepted in the society. And that's actually modernity. They've had all sorts of relationships in the Bible. They even say that Cain killed Hevel because he wanted to marry Hevel's second twin sister. Hevel was born with two twins with him. He was part of a triplets, 2 girls and a boy, Hevel. And Hevel didn't want to give him up, so didn't want to give the second sister to Cain, wanted her for himself, because you married your own sister. So there was sexual perversion, so to speak, weirdness. But that's not what, they didn't want that totally socially stamped. You know, it was quiet. There's a great beauty in this that's lost. I remember, you know, back in the old days, if a person was into the S&M world, they didn't talk about it. It was quiet. About 5 years ago, or whatever it was when that movie came out, I'm walking down the street and I hear two girls talking about 50 Shades of Grey, the movie 50 Shades of Grey. Oh, yes, I love the movie. And did you see that when they did that? Oh, yes, loud. So what I'm driving at here is that the people want accepted. Now, whatever they do, they want it totally accepted with everybody. And I think that's a mistake. And that's why I go back to a revision. I, as you know, think that society was better before, you know, not 70 years before, but 100 years before. One always thinks that their, you know, lifespan was the hip lifespan. Just remember, 70 years ago in the village was nothing compared to 100 years ago. And whoa, wouldn't you like to have been in Paris in the 1930s? Or whenever, what do you call it, Henry Miller was there? I did go to Europe in the 1950s. I had an exceptional life. And I have much to say around this because I grew up in these type of areas. I grew up in Greenwich Village, so what I'm talking about is a personal experience with these kind of things, and I can tell you it's better to keep oneself, one's sexuality, not socially accepted. It's actually more fun. Once you lose the social stigma of your own particular predilections, and you gain that social acceptance of the predilections, you lose a pleasure. You lose the pleasure of being slightly an outlaw. And why they wanted to gain this and to be an in-law and to be accepted for anything that they do, I don't understand. I do understand. They're incorrect. And it has to do with modernity and how modernity having trouble picking up words for myself, well, in this lying down position. But the internet and medicine and television and ads and positive thinking, it's so sad. Because the one opportunity you have in life, again, here I'm speaking 10 minutes and I'm really coming to, is your own spiritual development. This spiritual development has nothing to do with the web, with the internet, with texting. Has nothing to do with restaurants, with Beaujolais. Has nothing to do with social acceptance. It's your individual soul and how you utilize that soul. As you know, I feel that there's a thing called the religion of Adam. This religion of Adam is previous to what we call Judaism. As I was saying today to somebody, you think Adam had like razors in Gan Eden? Or did he have depilatories, that are permissible by certain Jewish orthodoxies? That's the rule. They don't see that the rule, that the premise of it, the idea of it was the beard. So they found ways to take the beard off. Oh, they're smart. Or in medicine, doctor. This belief in doctors is like what used to be a belief in God. And how people spend their life in jobs only for the medical insurance. And reading their retirement benefits and medical insurance benefits. When the whole idea is that you die every day. One of the reasons I'm doing this in bed is that I'm going to go to sleep in a few minutes. And sleep is 1/60th of death. I return the soul that was given me today. And today I actually did a lot of work on that particular soul. I can go to sleep happy that I worked on it. I didn't spend time watching television like I sometimes do. Watching the ads. I don't drive a car, I don't have a license. I'm going to sing a little song now. I wrote this years ago. What am I doing in the country? What am I doing? I'm a city boy. What am I doing writing country songs? Strumming a guitar and singing along. Can't milk a cow, can't even drive. Don't have a sense of national pride. 'Cause I'm a city boy. So I don't drive. I've lived in New York. I don't drive. I wouldn't want to drive and have a car. And you should see the ad. Well, you do see the ads on television. They can't fence you in. Then they give you a little Mustang, like $50,000 for a Mustang car. And then you're a slave to the auto. You're a rebel. Going for a drive. Give them up all your information on your internet sites. They know everything about you more than Sigmund Freud would know. Let's return back to homeostasis. That's where the mamish and the real is. That's what people do when they go to sleep. The sleep instinct. The death instinct. When I return my soul I get a new one. Something I've realized is, I go for a walk at night. I'm cold at night. But I'm warm in the morning when I go out and walk, even if it's colder. Why? My soul is fresh in me. By the end of the night now, my soul is tired. When you eat, you don't get nourishment from the food. You get nourishment from the spark of godliness within the food. The soul of the food, so to speak. When you are living, or rather when you sleep, you don't get refreshed from or need hours of sleep. It's your soul that goes away. When that soul has been exchanged or refreshed or whatever else happens to it up there and comes back, then your body is fresh. It's not the quantity of hours of sleep. It's that your soul has come back. It's not sleep because you're tired. You sleep to get rid of your soul, so your soul can return. And then whatever happens to it up there, that's what happens. I don't know what happens. But I do know I have a soul in this body, just like I have nourishment in my food that doesn't come from the external meaty, external bulk. It's a return to, we're going to talk at primitive times, it's a return to love. Nobody's involved in love here. I once heard a thing on a website that the Kabbalah is about love. And then something, it's a very big person, they took it off. Kabbalah is about love. Vahavta. That has nothing to do with the internet and all this other stuff. Electronics and medicine and science and fast trains and airplanes and what's happened to hotels, restaurants and clothes, fashion. It's the development of the externals and basically the secular world. All because they want total acceptance in the society for whatever they are and whatever they do. They want to be accepted like everybody else. For whatever it is, everybody wants social acceptance. To me, that's the lower part of the pyramid. As you get up higher, the top of the pyramid, you're a singularity. At the top of the pyramid, you're also closer to the heavenly origin, so to speak. So I started here. I might do this again because it's a different aspect. It's a different perspective. The perspective of right before sleep, right before I give up the ghost, so to speak, when I return my soul that I've had this day, and time for my evening Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod, Malkuto Li Olam Vo'ed.